Good evening, folks. I don't get a very good feeling. I get a cold feeling. I know it's the cold breeze from the air conditioning. Yeah, right. No, I get a different kind of cold feeling, knowing full damn well that the Biden administration has chosen the sacrificial lambs to start World War III. They're shipping 1,900 members of the 101st Airborne Division, the Screaming Eagles, to the Middle East. So the sacrificial lamb has been chosen. They're going to put them in harm's way and get their asses killed so they have an excuse to go into Iraq. That's a false flag that they have to set up. In order to justify going to war against Iran, they got to set our own boys up and sacrifice them. It's what they've been doing for a long time. Like the USS Liberty, they almost sacrificed that. Johnson would have. The only problem was the radio man scrambled across the deck and got the wires connected again, so the last Mayday could go out, which saved not just the Liberty, saved the whole world. At least I remind you, that morning our B-52s were all loaded to the hilt with nukes, sitting on the ends of the longest runways imaginable, so they'd have enough room to take off with their heavy payloads. And the engines idled all morning, waiting for the command to attack. And we know from one of the B-52 bombers that he checked on his destination. He was going to go nuke Cairo. Those were his orders. You see, we were working with Israel to sink our own ship, the USS Liberty, in a way we could go right after Egypt on behalf of our masters, Israel, the people who own us, lock, stock, and barrel. Gee, they're only going to be gone for 9 months. 1,900, 2,000 of them. 9 months is too long. We're discovering the truth about our government finally, the truth about how wars are waged, they're planned. These wars were planned probably 2 decades ago. We know that the Vietnam War and the Korean War were both planned before World War II was over. That's right, they planned Vietnam that much in advance. They plan these conflicts up all over the world so they can eat up our resources and sacrifice us. You see, they actually are rewarded for sacrificing us. They're rewarded with new technologies and different patents so they can make more money. They're especially awarded with new weapons systems. Dare we call it fallen angelic technology? We should, because a lot of it is. And of course, the Vietnam War, that entire Gulf of Tonkin incident was nothing more than radio chatter, a grand deception, and guess who oversaw it? Why, Admiral Morrison. Jim Morrison's father oversaw that damn thing. And who was it that was trying to respond when the USS Liberty was getting sunk, going down? Admiral Morrison sent 4 planes over there to defend the USS Liberty. And the vice president recalled them twice on him. The last time they recalled the planes, they told the admiral if he did it again, they were going to court-martial him. They wanted to sink the ship. LBJ wanted the ship to go down so he could start that war for Israel just like he wanted. See, LBJ already gave them 1,000 pounds of fissionable materials from the Hanford refinery alone. And they probably got 1,000 pounds from our other refineries as well. And so they didn't even have to refine their own nuclear material or make their own bombs. We gave them those little tiny Davy Crockett nukes, the good ones. We gave them those too. We give them everything they want. They own America. They have owned us since they took us over with the Federal Reserve System. They own your education system. They own your religious system for sure. They had total control over the seminaries and the training of all of these pastors before the Civil War was over. And they were in there with the Bible translators, changing things and laying traps for the rest of us for thousands of years. You need to understand they are sociopaths, and they're busy gaslighting us, telling us that's not what we believe, that's not what we think, and they're busy telling us what to think and how we feel, and that we have to support that Israel, or God's going to damn us. Like hell. We've already been damned. We're underneath them completely. Our military serves Bibi Netanyahu. We do whatever he wants. The American people don't have any choice in the matter whatsoever. And the Ayatollah that was recently murdered was naive. He said he thought the Americans were in charge of the decision making here for our country. He didn't realize how dangerous Israel is. And that's not the real Israel, by the way. That's actually Edom. That's actually Khazaria. That's not the real Israel. Those aren't descendants of Israel, the man, at all. They're Turkish, Mongolian, Hittite, and Hivite stock, Mount Seir, Esau, the fallen angel who seduced Eve, impregnated her with Cain, who murdered his half-brother, and really has gone about spoiling the entire earth and earth age against us. I know you don't want to be racist, you don't want to be perceived as racist, you don't want to take the chance. Well, look at the doggone genocide that's going on. Who are they going after? They aren't going after the blacks, they aren't going after the Asiatics, they aren't going after Latinos. The only ones they're really going after now are white European descendants. Why is that? Because we're actually descendants of Adam. And they're trying to destroy our race, our kind. And I'm advocating for self-defense. And please don't get me wrong. You cannot go after the Jews wholesale. You can't paint them with one broad paintbrush, one broad stripe. Doesn't work. It doesn't fit. Most of the Jews are okay people, and they have been misled and abused by their leadership. Yeah, they've been controlled, misused, and abused, especially those guys last October 7th. The IDF guys, they were to be shot by the other IDF troops. The Hannibal policy was you didn't let your own troops be taken captive. You killed them rather than let them get captured by the enemy. And nobody invades Israel without Israel knowing exactly what's going on. That was Bibi Netanyahu's false flag. His get home and get out of jail card free. Because the Civil War was going on. If he hadn't been reelected, he'd have been in prison. And he's going to prison as soon as he's out of office. He's not a good man. Don't give me that crap that he's the most honest man in the world and we should give him everything he wants. Don't you realize he's misused this country? He doesn't care what happens to us at all. He'll even nuke the world to stay out of prison. 101st Airborne Division and the 3rd Infantry Division will go to Europe to support NATO operations, to support NATO aggression against Russia through the Ukraine. We're going to end up with a nuclear war. Yahweh's already determined that is what we deserve. And these jackasses who are going to deliver that nuclear war, us into nuclear Armageddon, they don't care what happens to us. They actually believe that the more innocent humans in particular they can get sacrificed, the better they're going to be rewarded by their gods, plural gods. They believe that humans have to be sacrificed to satisfy their gods. And what do their gods do? Well, they will award them with new technologies, especially new fallen angelic warring, killing technologies. It's 3,500 soldiers at Fort Campbell will deploy to the Middle East. We have airborne and infantry going in. It's not a good sign. In other words, we're sending in our sacrificial lambs that are going to justify us. Now, it's a false flag operation. Doesn't mean it's not a real operation. Doesn't mean people really don't die. Matter of fact, the more they kill, the more convincing they can be, and the more they will talk Americans into going to war to defend freedom and democracy. They don't give a damn about freedom and democracy. They don't give a damn about anything in this country that has to do with that. All they care about is staying in power. Their power and staying in power and growing their power. I don't want that our soldiers are going over there. I just don't want them over there. I don't think they're really ready for combat. I hope they're ready to dig in and survive and cover each other's backs, because our CIA will set them up for the attack. You can't trust it. You can't trust anything in this government. You can't trust the news. I'm not advocating that you go out and do harsh, rough stuff. I'm advocating that you withdraw, you cease to consent, you withdraw from any business dealings that you can, and any and all adhesion contracts, and recover your freedoms as best you can. This country has gone too far. It's going to get nuked. It deserves to be nuked. Why? Because Americans are dumbasses and they think they can't be touched and they can't be harmed. Well, the fact is, they have been disarming Russia to the point where they're going to force Russia to go to intercontinental ballistic nukes. They're very foolish the way they're managing things and handling things. And I don't know who's in charge, but we really should take this entire government out and find out who's been calling the shots. Probably somebody at the CIA and the Pentagon. Victoria Nuland ought to be shipped to Russia as a sacrificial lamb, right to Putin to say, here, accept our offering, do with her as you will. Then we should also ship over the other sons of a bitches who got us into this war in the Ukraine. It's not separate from Israel. That's where these Israelis are really from. They're actually from Khazaria, which was part of, well, the Ukraine was part of Khazaria. They want their homelands back, and they want to expand the Middle East. Yes, they're going to conquer everything they can. They are the real Nazis, the National Socialist Zionist International. Americans are too dumb to realize the danger that the Bolsheviks, the Jews, represent to us. And it's too late. They already have ruined us. They already have taken us over. We can't get power back no matter what we do. You can't do it at the cartridge box. They've got modern weapons and they're just looking for an excuse to use them. And you can't do it at the ballot box because they won't let our candidates, any good statesman actually get up there. Everybody that's up there has to be willing to serve the central banks and Israel and Bibi Netanyahu. If I find out you're in elected office and you have Israeli dual citizenship, I'm going to want you taken right out. And not only that, I want you deported to Israel with a note on there, one way. Don't come back. We're going to take all your assets too if I have my way and I get in office. Yeah, that's the ticket, baby. I'll balance this federal budget on the backs of all those treasonous, traitorous rat bastards and those international bankers in particular. And the secret societies and the intelligence organizations, especially those that like to run dope or run the kiddies. You can't make up the sins. You can't make the stuff up, the story up. It is a horrible story. We really need to be rounding up people like Barack Obama and all those who have given us such grief and taking care of them and being done with them. We cannot coexist. They've proven it with their behavior. They won't allow coexistence. They will screw everything up. Look at how Joe Biden screws stuff up. My God, the man is really accomplished. And Trump's no saint. He's in there just like the rest of them are. He was on Lolita Express. He was on the island. He knew Jeffrey Epstein. That's all I got to say, folks. I'm not real happy about it. Just get ready, because we're going to hear about a tremendous loss of our own boys, our own men in the Middle East. And then that will give us the green light to bomb the shit out of Iran and Syria and wherever else we want to bomb over there. It's horrible. And we are supporting the genocide of Gaza and the Palestinians on the West Bank, which is just getting started. Gaza is a horrible thing. I get these two new friends, a couple of Muslim friends from Palestine. Want to know if I want to help them. No, man, I'm not going to help you the way you want me to help you. Sorry, I'm not going to be sidetracked into any bullshit thing. Not going to conspire with you. Not against my own government. Not against my own people. But I am going to tell my own government, my own people, how bad the government is and who the bad guys are here. We just happen to have the same enemy. But I don't want you Muslims and I don't want you Jews in the country either at this point. I want all of you out of here. Those are the two seeds of the two-seed theory. The way I read the Bible, those are the two lines that Satan produced for the world. In case you're wondering, the most dangerous one are the Zionist, Edomite, false Jews, the synagogue of Satan. They're far more deadly than the Muslims. I think there's no problem with the Muslims as long as they're in their own country. And the Jews, I'm sorry, but you guys won't clean up your own ranks. You know who the bad guys are, but will you clean up your own ranks? Will you mete out justice to them? No, you will not. Will you hand them over to us? No, you will not. Do you know that the average man or woman at some point's not going to give a rat's ass if you're a good Jew or a bad Jew? And there are good figs and bad figs. We know that. That's clearly written in the Bible in the Old Testament. And we know there are good figs and bad figs. That was clearly documented in the transfer agreement by Edmund Black. He names the good ones and the bad ones. He tells us what they did. How the bad ones murdered the good ones. Yeah, they murder their own people all the time. They're willing to sacrifice whoever they need to keep up that victim role going. Gotta milk that for all it's good for, baby. It's show business, baby. They've been blackmailing the world for too long. And right now, they've got us all ready to go to war with each other. They want us to destroy each other. That way they can maximize the bloodletting. They'll do it, folks. Not only that, Yahweh's setting the stage so that everybody's being called to the party at the same time. Everybody's been invited. And everybody's going to go in there against Israel. Those who claim they are Israel. I don't have any more to give you, folks. I'm upset because our troops are going over there, formally and officially, to help out the genocidists of the world, the Israelis, the Rothschilds, their medical, military, industrial complex, their cure for the common cold, their common cold and what it led to, and the other ailments that they purposely misidentify and misdiagnose so that we won't get proper treatment, so they can shorten our lives by selling us these horrible concoctions and poisons and making us pay for our own demise. You couldn't make this stuff up if you wanted to, folks. This is hell on earth. Welcome to it. You're actually living in hell.